Identity. I think identity is always a really important topic for people. And I think like finding your identity is like this basic thing you have to do in life. It's like if you don't know who you are and you don't know where to go, what's the meaning of life then?
I think about identity as a process, like the process of being seen and of being known, and seeing and knowing another, and that I think that also includes absence and not being known, but this whole kind of working through a connection that includes all of that.
That's a good question.
That's a really heavy question. So it's really hard so for me and my sister, we were born in Kenya, but we're not obviously black. And when we moved to England, one of the first questions, well, for me, I'm not sure about her, was they asked me, but why you're from Africa? Why are you not black? I don't understand. So
and we feel just as Kenyan
as a black local, because we were born there. I mean, my mum was born there. My dad was born in Uganda. So our grandparents were born in Uganda. So we have all our immediate family. Like we don't have family in parts of Asia where we'd probably originally do come from. People assume we come from India or Pakistan, or we have no
family in India. We have no roots in India.
We visited, but we feel nothing. Like there's no connection.
We feel like
there.
we're African.
Yeah.
I think identity comes from how you grew up and where you've been. So not necessarily just where you're from, but where you've been and where you chose to be, or where you ended up being. But also you can choose what your identity is. So it's a mixture. Some things are just the way they are, and they are affected by your environment. But I think it's important to kind of like know that you as a person can either represent something or like fight for things that matter to you, or like make a difference, or even just influence how other people feel about themselves. And so I'm trying to figure it out, because especially being away from your own country, I feel like when I was in Brazil, I was like, I don't know much about Brazilian culture, like as in like music or whatever. So I was like kind of like, I always felt like I wasn't that integrated with the culture. And then now being away from it, I'm like, a lot of my identity comes from it, and I think when you're away from it, that's when you can see it better. So yeah, you have to find out as you go. Yeah, it's not a definite thing.
I'm Ugandan. What has already influenced my identity is that if I ever ask for a visa or anywhere, they say, oh, you're from Uganda, where but this and this is happening, That has already influenced my identity. When you get somewhere else, you realize that we may be different in terms of development, in terms of exposure, but we are almost all the same, because we all have the same struggles, but also we have different lifestyles. Someone else's priorities are not my priorities, so immediately my identity kicks in, and I know, okay, in Uganda we do this, in South Africa they do that, and it sort of clicks. Well, there's a difference between an African and a European identity. I guess so, because it was already created by the stereotypes. I choose to believe that we are all the same. We all bleed red, not black and blue. We all eat food. We all use the toilet. It is just that the lifestyle tend to change a bit, and then that already makes the identity different. And also, when it comes to terms of privilege, a light-skinned person per se would get more privileges or more open doors and chances in life than a dark-skinned person, however much educated they are. And I speak this in terms of experience, whereby some light-skinned people, when they go to check security checks, let's say in these famous malls, they cannot be checked, while you are looked at as a vice or a dangerous person, you have to be searched. So also that affects our identity, and it shows that we are totally different.
Yeah, I think identity is the manner in which
the American
you
identity is
comport yourself,
staying true
and the
to
standards by
what
which
you want to keep in your own
Identity, the true of yourself. I think is how do you define yourself as a human being.
Other cultures, that it's not necessarily given to you.
So that's what
American
identity is.
identity is
It's a
something you
personal
get to choose
thing,
for yourself
and you have to
based
be
on what you
responsible for
think
yourself, and not try to blame other people.
I think that politically it's very confusing. There's like too much information, but I think too much skewed information.
I think a border is anything put up to intentionally limit people from getting in. And some of that could be physical borders, it can be walls, but it can also be, as we discuss on this tour, bureaucratic borders, making paperwork so difficult that people don't understand it and can't fill it out, and don't know what their own rights are. And hiding people's rights from themselves is a border that I think we need to overcome.
There's a lot of, I think, walls for people that want to get ahead, and not everyone gets the same opportunity, or they might hit a wall somehow in their career, and there's limitations, and there shouldn't be. Everyone should be allowed to just kind of get to where they want to be in life, especially if it's for a better life.
It's just
right?
an obstacle to get over,
yeah,
or around,
exactly.
or through.
Yeah,
that's how I would describe it.
I would like to see the borders open more, and more welcoming policies.
Now about all discussion about walls, because I think it really defines a matter of belonging to a group and not belonging to a group, and I think it's unfortunately recently has been used as the easiest instrument for defining difference between people, where actually there are not these differences. So.
Thinking of the wall that Trump in Mexico, I was walking along this and I was just, exactly. Whereas, such a monumental time when this was taken down, and they're talking about building walls like they haven't learned from history.
Yeah.
Think about the new wall in America. I think about the wall that every Eastern country want to build to block immigrants. Because we are afraid. Sometimes we got something to be afraid.
I don't really understand why they build a wall, and I disagree with that, because this is contrary to freedom, according to me.
To keep people from somewhere.
Yeah.
To simulate being safe of something too.
Yeah.
Make people believe they are safe from something.
And create differences when not to separate.
Yeah.
We don't learn from them. We made the same mistakes over and over again.
Walls are made for divide, in my opinion. So I guess that's
but
what
I
they
guess,
create.
yeah, I see it also as a product of the society, in the sense that something that has become something that we have learned to live with, even though we don't like them.